League of Legends, where we talk about what is currently going on in the game right now. Today I'm joined by two marvelous people.
Oh,
We
we're
got
quite marvelous.
Anthony Leon Phan
What up?
and Mr. Jimmy Shiro C2C, whatever you want to be called today.
Yeah, I mean, my full title is Mr. C to C Shiro Mendes Lefu the Fourth. So, yeah.
It's awesome. And of course myself, Hero94 or Moose, however you prefer to call me. And today we're just gonna get straight into it. Not really, because we got things to talk about before that. Anthony, what you been playing this week?
I've been playing a lot of a certain RPG that I've been meaning to finish called Yes Origins, and it's just like these epic bosses of
Just capital Y and an S, right?
capital YS
Yeah.
Origins.
Okay.
That's available
I've
on
heard some-
Steam, right?
It is available on Steam right now, and it is amazing. If you guys have the time, pick it up because it is a very rough game, but it's also like one of the better RPGs I played.
So good that every time he has to talk about it, he must look directly
Yes. Yes.
up. He's like, it's amazing. Oh, it's so good.
Yes.
It's like he's praising the heavens for it. It's like, yes, it is that good. Thank
It
you
is.
for
It's really
bestowing
good.
this gift upon humanity.
It is a really good game, I swear. And I've also been playing, of course, League of Legends and also some Borderlands with some. I picked up Borderlands again, and I'm addicted now, and I can't stop playing.
Right on. Right on. And Jimmy, what about you? What you been playing this week?
All right, so I'm gonna cut the list a little bit short, but I've been playing Borderlands 2. I picked that up through the Steam summer sale, and that's been a lot of fun. I have played a little bit of Scrolls, the Mojang game, trading card game that they've released. That's been a lot of fun so far. League, obviously. What else? League. Checked out a little bit of Dota 2 on the side. But I mean, aside from that, not too much else.
Right on, right on. And me, like always, still continuing my series on Road to Gold to get to that gold in League of Legends. So close! I'm like at 80 some points. Besides that, playing Borderlands 2 with actually all three of us. Maybe one of these days we can like make a video about it or something. Who knows?
Us
Something
yelling and shooting people and us dying.
And Leon going off the cliff in a car,
Yes!
Usual.
Yes.
I went off that cliff so many times.
And of course, I've seen Jimmy play some Scrolls on the stream, so I'm definitely probably gonna pick that up this week. Besides that, just like it's mostly League and Borderlands 2. Can't really think of much else.
I mean, League of Legends is pretty much our lives.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no, no.
I wouldn't
no.
say my life, but
But it's
definitely takes up
it's a
lot of
majority of our gaming lives, so.
I can kind of agree with that myself.
I
Jimmy
mean,
has to think about it, but he's gonna eventually agree.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna disagree with that.
He's gonna
Really?
disagree. He refuses to drop to that level.
Oh, you're the one who says that level. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what are you saying about that? Oof, oof.
Oof. Yes.
Rough.
All right.
First topic?
First topic. So today we want to talk about what's going on in, like, basically who is the more dominant champions in each lane and in the jungle. So we want to go through everybody's opinion and such, and we're gonna stop with top lane right here. We wanna figure out who you all think is the most dominant champion top.
I think
Yeah.
one of the stronger tops right now is like, of course, Shen because of his global presence around the map, and just like, I've been seeing a lot of Zac lately, and he's really strong. I'm not sure how much of a counterpick it can be against certain champs like Shen, because like he has like 3 ways of stopping Shen's ult.
Wait, Zach has two ways.
Sorry, 2 ways. Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually been seeing a lot of Zach play also myself in the top lane, and I've always thought Zach was a strong top laner. His only issue is he's got very little range, and it's not, in order for you to engage on someone, you need to blow your escape. So you gotta be very careful with what you do and have a lot of wards. I do think he is a pretty strong top. I think Shen only has his global presence,
Hmm.
so he is still a great top, but I don't think he's maybe the most dominant or maybe the best top at this point.
Yeah.
It really depends though on how you want to think about it, because are we talking about dominant as far as like team composition? Because Shen fits in a lot of team comps. So as far as that's concerned, he's a pretty solid pick. It's very hard to argue with the Shen pick.
He's very
So.
flexible in what he can do.
Hmm.
I guess
Whereas,
that it. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, like if we're talking about laning phase, yeah, you're completely right. Shen doesn't have too much going for him, but I mean, even then, if we think about it, he has he's a resourceless, a manaless champion, so he can just spam his Vorpal Blade if he wants to go for a little bit of free harass or get those last hits if he needs to.
I think we're
And
talking about just dominant overall throughout the lane and the game in
Yeah.
total. So I guess if you consider how strong he is with team fights,
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that you do put up a good point.
Right.
For me though, I think still the most dominating tops would have to be Jace, and Elise is still really strong top.
Yeah.
I agree with the Elise. She has a lot in her kit that makes her very versatile, and she's always relevant within the game because of her percentage damage. Jace, though, you need to be so efficient with that champion now in order to actually get like the most out of him. I don't know if he is as dominant as some of the other ones we've just talked about.
Honestly, the 16-second cooldown now on his new E, it hurt him quite a bit, as in like how good you need to be actually with his skills. But I don't think it hurt him to the point where he's any worse than he really was. I think you just need to play him at a higher level. Which sure brings up the point that but when we're talking about dominance, we're talking about someone who can actually play the game. So, because you got
Okay.
to remember, like his E gives a 50% speed buff to your whole team essentially if you place it right. That's pretty insane at level 5 for a Z. That is.
Hmm. I feel like
That's
the
more
nerf
than
on it.
that's more than a sorry, someone's gonna have to help me out. What's the item that builds out of Philistone?
Shrelius?
Shrelia's?
Shiralias. That's more than a Shiralias only gets 40% to your team in an area when his is a 50%. So,
That's
and
true.
of course he's got massive poke, massive damage, and has the ability to switch between melee and range, which is very very good. And of course, as you said, at least all the percentage damage and such.
Yeah.
I think we should mention Malphite because that is a pretty dominant pick within a silver league range, and I don't know. What do you guys think of Malphite?
I think Malphite brings so much to team fights that he's a very strong pick. I think a lot of people overlook him now because LCS don't really play him very often. But in a silver, even gold level pick, and I've seen it in plat work quite often. Malphite just stomps people. Actually, like it's a very funny story. When me and my fives team play ranked, we actually don't. We either make sure we first pick Malphite, which we hardly ever do, or we ban him every single time because we cannot for some reason beat this champion. We have lost to Malphite like 10 times out of 10, and we've gone up against like a full plat team, and they didn't have Malphite, and we beat them. But they have Malphite, GG. So
GG.
we get rid of him every single time.
Hmm. And what about a historically powerful champion? Not so much this season, but what about Yorick?
Yorick, I don't feel Yorick is in a good place right now.
Okay.
I feel like he's a counterpick to many champions, and I feel he can bring strong things to specific team comps. But overall, I feel like Yorick's kind of weak in the current season.
I feel like that if you fall behind with him at any set point in the game, you just fall behind the whole entire game because you have such a hard time closing, considering he's a melee champ, and like he has a lot of damage, but he has to build pretty tanky to get in to do that damage.
Well, like I don't know how how Yorick is commonly played, but I thought that the entire issue with Yorick was his ability to just sustain so safely from a range. Like I mean, his E is really the thing that annoys people because it's like, well, I can either try to go in and harass him, but then he E's me, and then all of a sudden he's just regenerating all that life back. So.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to fall behind as Yorick in lane, but if you get ganked for some reason or something takes you out early game and you fall behind because of that, it's really hard to catch up.
Yeah.
Right.
Because once you fall behind, many champions can just zone Yorick very easily, and that's my issue. Even with ghouls, even with his range ghouls, as long as your opposing laning person has any kind of range, as long as it's not someone who Yorick directly counters, Yorick can get
Hmm.
zoned pretty easily.
Yeah.
Right. And another popular champion on top that has gotten a couple of nerfs is Kennen. I still think that he's pretty dominant on top.
I agree. I agree. Kennen would have probably been my third pick if not for Jason Elise.
Hmm. Yeah, he's still
Well,
strong. He still brings a lot to team fights. He has a bunch of CC. He doesn't consume mana. He's an energy champion, so I think that he's definitely going to be. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with on top.
yeah, definitely. The 80 nerf on him was a little bit harsh because it makes it a little bit harder to see us on him, but
I actually didn't feel like it was that big of a nerf. I've been playing him a little bit recently, and I've been doing just fine. As you did say, it was a small nerf, and it does make you think a little more when you CSing. But overall, he can CS so well now with shurikens and with
Mhm.
everything else. His kit just makes it so easy to CS that it's not that big of an issue in my opinion.
hmm. But like another champion I want to mention that has been seeing a lot of play on Cloud9 is Rumble, and he hasn't been like picked
Mm.
or banned as much as he used to be.
There were some nerfs that Rumble had to go through, and I remember that one of the former TPA people that played him said that like there was a point that like Rumble was really good, but then after these nerfs, these were significant enough nerfs that Rumble players could feel the impact of these nerfs. That he
Oh,
could no longer bully like that he could no longer bully like practically every single top lane. So.
that was his big issue. Before, like he had a lot of really strong things to him. His Q just brought so much damage and stuff, and they slowly moved the damage around to his things. I think the biggest change was his ulti, because his ulti used to do basically almost all the damage up front, and then if you stayed in it, it just hurt a lot.
Mhm.
Now it does very little damage up front and does most of the damage if they stay within it, which it's very hard to do that even with it having a slow. It's pretty difficult to keep people within your ult.
I feel like if they did that, they need to make the width just a bit bigger, so that they had the dot a little bit longer.
I kind of agree, but if they did that, then with it slow would be too good.
Mhm.
So I don't really know what you can do at this point. I think Rumble's in a pretty good place right now, though. I think the only thing I can't really think of too much they could do to really help him out because, like I said, he's in a pretty good point.
Mhm.
I feel like the champions that are good right now are because they're a little too good, and that's the reason why they're getting nerfed in the next patch, such as Elise and Jace. So.
I want your opinion on Aurelia top right now, Muse, because I've been seeing you play that champ a lot.
Better nerf Feralia, bro. Better nerf
Oh,
Feralia.
Nah, bro, nah.
No.
Dude, you almost lost to a biscuit, Vlad.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Who put me on blast? Okay,
man.
that game was really
Wow.
rough because I was behind the whole game. I got ganked really early, and I think I died. I don't know if I died or if I had it back, but I died really early, and I was basically behind the whole game. But if you notice, after maybe like level 8 or 9, like basically when Vlad's at his strongest, I 1v1'd him like 2 or 3 times and got kills on him.
Yeah.
So once again, I feel like Aurelia is a really good pick in the right situations. Aurelia destroys Vlad. It's not even like I think Aurelia is probably Vlad's hardest like counter pick in my opinion. And I misplayed it really wrong early because I haven't played Aurelia in such a long time that when I played her that game, I was trying to slow him as he was going into his pool instead of waiting until he jumped out. So there was a lot of things I misplayed in that matchup. But overall, I feel like Aurelia is, like I said, pretty. She's a little weak right now, but she's definitely playable.
So would you agree that she still works in niche situations though?
And which one?
In very small situations though, like
Yeah,
certain
she's
matchups.
still. in my opinion, in certain matchups, in certain comps, she's still very viable. Proof, proof. There's proof by that by Nian played Aurelia top in an LCS game like 2 weeks ago or last week or something. So she can be played at a competitive level.
It's just people don't think she's as strong as a pick anymore.
It's that joke, man. Better nerf Aurelia. Like even when she's bad, she's good. It's her kit is so strong that you just can't make her bad. You can't make her. You can make her not good, but you can't make her bad. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, it's all a numbers game.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so those are some pretty good tops. I feel like those are definitely the strongest tops right now. All the ones we pretty much mentioned. Who would you say the weakest top is? Just
God, I had to pull.
I know.
Now.
I mean, the obvious answer would, like, if we want to be really tongue-in-cheek about it, it's Fiora. But I don't actually think that she's the weakest one. It would probably have to be... Yorick. Sion is one of the big ones that comes to mind. Only because he's just weak as a champion right now. He just doesn't fit anywhere. Much less top.
Honestly, I'd rather have like an AP Sion top than a Fiora.
Doesn't AP sign not work anymore because they nerfed his scaling with it?
That's exactly what happened.
Oh, you're right. Or an 80 Sion top instead of Fiora, because an 80 Sion top will just late game, as long as you don't like late game Sion 80 carry is like ridiculous.
The problem with AD Sion is unlike other AD champions that go on top, he has no pressure for them. Sure, he has a stun, but what damage? If you're going AD, you're not going to have too much damage up front through your shield or your stun. So
what does Fiora have though today? Like would do anything?
Early
She
game,
does have some damage.
she does a
strong
lot of
early game.
damage.
I will give her that, but it's really easy to counter her with anybody, pretty much.
Anybody with range, really.
Again, you have the Elise Jace problem, though. They counter a lot of other champions, too.
Yeah.
So, we'll say, I'm pretty okay with saying both those champions are, like, probably the worst right now.
Yeah.
I will put my foot down and say Sion is worse than Fiora at the top, so.
Okay, I can agree with that, just because Sion's in a place where, like, he shouldn't even be in the game, almost.
Yeah, and, like...
Because I can't even think of the last time I saw a Sion picked. I've seen a Sion picked in... I've seen a Fiora picked in, like, the last month. I can't even say I've seen a Sion picked in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Right.
He's fallen out of everything that he possibly has.
Exactly. So, I can agree with that.
Another champ that I think we forgot to mention that hasn't seen play whatsoever is Riven, because she's like Riven and Renekton basically.
No, Renekton's still seen play.
Is he?
Yeah, Renekton has been seen in the LCS. Like every once in a while, they'll say like, "Oh, there's the Bash Brothers going in deep front lines," and that's the type of strategy that you use Renekton. And usually, you have a Nasus in the jungle to accompany the Renekton, and they offer a bulky front line because none of those two are really good at tanking. But when you combine both of them, they have enough presence that you can't ignore them, and they're bulky. As far as Riven,
go ahead.
as far as Riven, I don't remember seeing her in the LCS. You're right. In Silver, though, in the league that I play, you still see Rivens around. She's a pretty good, well, I'm not going to say really good character for solo queue, but she is serviceable in solo queue because she can snowball hard. So.
She's also really tanky sometimes.
Yeah. It depends if she snowballs really hard, though. That's kind of the thing about Riven.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still feel like Riven's a pretty decent pick. I feel like, as you said, she hasn't been seeing a lot of play, but definitely not a bad pick right now. So I say we'll jump into mid lane now. See what we think there.
Mid lane.
So many.
That's the thing I want to preface this about mid lane. Like, mid lane probably has the most diverse champion pool, to be quite honest.
I agree. I feel like mid lane is probably the most balanced lane right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, because you can run a lot of strategies on mid lane. I will say that there are champions that, like, again, the topic is all about, like, champions that dominate, that not even dominate, but there's just champions that are just safe picks in mid. Like, you can hardly go wrong with certain champions.
Well, that's kind of like what Renekton is top. He's a very safe pick. You must be this. You must be able to beat Renekton 10 or top type deal.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
very safe pick. Like, but he's still very good. He has his situations, but like in my personal belief in mid right this moment is Twisted Fate.
Yeah, Twisted Fate
Twisted
is
Fate is so good.
yeah. And it's not even because he's that good in lane, but he again, we have the Shen argument, which is like he just provides so much global presence to the team that you cannot, like, mid lane is just a secondary thing compared to like the team fights.
He's able to snowball other lanes so well.
Mhm.
That,
What I'm curious about is just like, what if they didn't change his ult and his ult was entirely global? Like, how would that look in mid?
Honestly, if that was how it worked, Twisted Fate would be played a lot more top also.
I mean, this is essentially asking like what happened with Twisted Fate before they made it not global, because it used to be global.
Yes.
And again, Twisted Fate was to the point where he was a first pick or ban. You did not leave the Twisted Fate alone. So,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it would make him even more so powerful than he currently is right now.
Because AP scaling is ridiculous.
AP scale. One of the mid champions that I think is versatile enough that fits with almost any team comp right now is Orianna. That's a huge one right now.
Yeah, I think Oriana's pretty strong in mid right now.
She's a very
As
strong
long as you don't sombrero yourself, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Shiro.
Nope.
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 Just throwing everybody on that.
Yeah, now Leon's just putting everybody under the bus.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Nobody is safe.
It's because I watch streams, bro.
You've never sombreroed with Orianna?
I have sombreroed plenty of times. I'm not saying I don't do that. Like, I did the day of that podcast test we did, and we mentioned sombreros. I sombreroed that day.
That's great.
Nice.
I was like, God damn it! They tried to fix this for me, and then it didn't work. I was like, okay.
No, yeah, like even with the fix, I sombreroed.
I find it much nicer. I quite enjoy the new E-pick. You know, I want to bring in Orianna and actually talk about Malphite earlier. There was a clip of me on my stream yesterday.
Oh no!
It was the
shameless plug. Shameless plug.
It was dirty. People need to watch this. People need to watch this clip. It was insane. Most people just throw the ball to Malphite. Malphite ults. Boom. This one's in reverse. I throw him into Malphite's ult. It was pretty amazing. I'll probably have a link to it in the description. So. I recommend you check it out. You'll get some LOLs out of it.
Plugging.
Some of those. Shameless
plug.
Yeah. I don't care because it was worth it. And Jimmy, was this not a great video?
I was commenting on it. It was pretty legit play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty legit.
Yeah, pretty legit.
But let's be realistic right now, guys. The best mid in the game, besides Twisted Fate, is obviously Heimerdinger. Like,
totally.
I need to be playing Heimerdinger every single game.
So amazing.
My win ratio with Heimerdinger in ranked right now is like 100%. So obviously it can't be bad.
Obviously.
But no. Heimerdinger needs. I'm looking forward to his change.
Are they changing him?
Yeah, he's being remade right now.
Really?
Yeah.
They're changing a lot of the old characters, aren't they? Aren't they also changing Master Yi too?
Yes, Master Yi is going to be a dedicated AD, and they're basically getting rid of all his AP
ratios. Because I mean that's just really bad design.
Yeah.
But that's not what he was intended to play as. And even though he only has one move that really his Q and his heal that really scale off AP. The fact that his ultimate resets his moves and the Q just has such a huge AP ratio that it's just nerfing the AP doesn't really fix the issue because then he'd be kind of useless as only AD. So.
Right. I think that people need to remember the reason why Master Yi had those AP ratios in the first place was because in the beginning of League you didn't have AD scaling for abilities. You just had AP. So that's why you have like Tristana with AP. Like all the older champions that have not been remade have those AP scaling abilities.
Yes.
So
I actually had forgotten about that, Jimmy.
I never knew that.
no, yeah,
It's been a while.
a little bit of League of Legends trivia for you guys.
For those of you guys who don't know, me and Jimmy have both been playing since Beto. Well, Mr.
Mhm.
Leon over there has only been playing since Season 2.
Now it's Moose's turn to throw him under the bus.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
there's a lot of weird things that are still holdovers from beta, like
Yeah.
so many things.
And they're slowly trying to phase them out, but, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
They have to make balances somehow,
Yeah.
Exactly. So we can all pretty much agree Twisted Fate's probably, like, the most
dominant.
Strongest, yeah.
And it's not because of his lane presence, it's because how much pressure he just brings to the whole game.
Yeah. Another character that brings that sort of just like that combines more of a lane presence and actually has a pretty game-altering ability is Karthus.
Yes.
That is a pretty dominant champion right now. So
I would
He hasn't
I
been
would
seeing a lot of LCS play though.
Another thing about Karthus is he doesn't really have any counter picks, like any direct counter picks.
yeah, like it used to be Soraka, but she's
I mean, she's
It's
a
still
support.
Soraka, but
Mhm.
She's a support for a reason.
So I think we can end mid on that.
Really? You
So-
you don't even mention Rise? Rise has been seeing a lot of play, dude.
Rise hurts my. I think. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that champion right now.
No, let's talk about that champion.
Moose is getting all butthurt about it.
No, I don't think I've lost to a Rise in quite a while, so not really.
I think that Rise is he's still a pretty legitimate champion. He can go top and mid. I'm actually surprised we didn't mention him top, but he's a good pick if you're thinking about making a team composition that focuses on the late game.
Yeah.
So the changes to Rise right now, though, I don't know what that will do to his early game. I'm
I
thinking
think
that
that's gonna hurt him. I think it's gonna hurt him all around.
yeah, I think that it's more of an overall nerf to Rise, to be quite honest.
Most definitely.
Which I mean, poor Rise, he's been like nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed every
Rise, I
single
think,
time.
is the most changed champion in this game.
I think Kale Kale definitely competes with Rise.
It's definitely very close between those two, but those two are definitely the most changed champions because Rise had a completely different ultimate. Like his E used to be his ultimate, his passive used to be his E.
His passive used to be something really. Oh no! Wait, no, that was
his passive used to be his E, and you put a point into it, and every auto attack gave you mana.
No, every auto attack. Like what happened was instead of you doing physical damage with your instead of your auto attack scaling with your physical damage, it scaled off of your
that's
AP.
right. Was it
That's
AP or
what
was
old
it
Rise
mana?
was. No, it was AP back in the day.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely old Rise exactly.
Yeah, 'cause
and
I mean, the
his
remake-
current ultimate was his passive, which it didn't do anything what his ultimate does, but that's what it was called if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something
he's
else.
been changed a lot. Go ahead.
Something else I want to mention is like the ADs in the mid. Like some people have been running Ezra in the mids, and then Kha'Zix was really popular before he got nerfed.
I definitely feel like Zed is still very popular at mid.
That too.
I enjoy playing him a lot mid. As you said, blue build Ezreal sees a lot of play in mid just because it does so much damage early game, like throughout the game, that it's a viable pick, and it's very hard to counter that in mid lane.
hmm
Another viable pick that is kind of ambiguous with both mid and support is Zyra. She's pretty good mid as well.
She's been probably my most played mid right now. I enjoy her quite a bit.
I was gonna say Moose has been playing her like hell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
So-
I remember tuning on his stream one day, and he's just like he walks away from his computer, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's just like sitting on his tower, and then he ends up going like 9-4 or something like that.
It was okay, yeah. Oh god, you guys are all throwing me under the bus here. We start a ranked game, and for those of you guys who don't know, I'm in the military, and every day we've been having a room inspection this month, and I was texted that I wasn't gonna start for another hour, So I start the game, 25 seconds in, I hear a doorbell, and I'm like, shit. So I go open, it's my sergeant, whatever. He's doing the room inspection, I look at the game, minions spawn, fuck. I miss about 2 waves, maybe 3 waves of minions. It's pretty bad. But then I get back into the game. It was against the Kazakhs. Kazakhs dives me, and we trade kills. I think I got first blood though. And then from that point on, I just continued to finish the game like 9-4, or something absolutely ridiculous that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I was like, what? I was so confused.
The thing about Zyra is she's a pretty high skill cap, in my opinion. But her damage has to be one of the highest damages in mid. She's just so squishy that it's hard to play her well, and her ranges aren't that long. So, well, her ultimate's range, I guess I should say.
Her ultimate range is pretty
It's
small.
It's pretty, like, the range is small, but once you drop it, it reaches out further than
the icon.
Well, you drop it. The location where you drop it's the center point of your ult, so it goes further than where you drop it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But like the issue with her ult, which is why you never want to drop it, like with them being on the opposite corner of where they are, is because when you drop it, it takes like a split second for the roots to start spreading outwards, and they won't take damage unless the roots hit them. That's the way the damage actually works. So the moment the circle appears, they don't take damage. They take the damage the moment the roots start spreading and hit them.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really weird ultimate because most spells, like, the moment the animation starts is when they take the damage, and this one has animation of the whole
Roots coming out.
Roots coming out, and that's what does the damage. So
Okay. And the knockup is just like devastating. Oh
Yeah.
my god. I think that's it, right?
I want to give a special mention to Lysandra. She works in certain team comps,
Mhm.
and her laning phase is pretty good. She is very slippery to gank as well, so.
Because of her E. Oh my god, she's so hard to gank.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gank her like level 2 at most, I think.
Yeah, it depends on when she puts a rank in her E.
Yeah.
yeah, she's pretty strong right now.
The
Go ahead.
the ability to zone yourself is just really strong, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it still does the damage, right?
Yeah, it does
Yeah,
its
within the
damage
circle.
around you.
hmm Like, she can essentially have 2 Zonias. She can or it's just a fucking a stun. It's just a stun for like 2 seconds, and it's insane. Like, that's the reason why she's still a really good support, in my opinion. That's the only thing that gives her a support quality. I still feel like she's better mid, but she could be play support effectively. Is there any other mids you guys can think of, or?
No, the other mids seem to be very. They have a specific purpose. Like, Evelyn is a pretty good mid, but you have to center the team around Evelyn, for example.
Yeah.
can
Ari's a
agree
pretty good pick, but she can get counter picked really easily.
Once again, with the whole, it's pretty balanced because every champion has a time and place to be seen.
Yeah.
Ari, even Malzahar. Weakest mid right now, I couldn't even really think of one.
Galio.
Oh, that's right. I always forget about. I guess I would say maybe Galio.
Yeah, like, I mean, because the thing about Galio, he used to be the mid that you picked to just say, no, I will deny whatever AP was chosen here. And obviously that was a kind of a toxic way to play, because it's essentially saying, no, I will take a dump on your mid and just say bye-bye. And they nerfed Galio because of it, and now he can't really work in any, like, role. Like, I mean, I've seen a couple of people try to play him support, and Riot is probably going to change his numbers to make him work that way, but until then, he's just not in a good place anywhere.
I want to give a little credit to Victor because Victor's awesome and he needs to be played more.
Yeah, Victor is in the same group as Zillion, where it's like, if you know how to play them well, you will win because nobody knows how to play against them currently. So
I couldn't agree with that statement. So, is there any other mids you guys want to talk about, or do you guys think it's time to jump on over to the next?
LeBlanc.
Rebronk?
LeBlanc.
Rebronk.
Rebronk.
That was like one of those champions that, like, if somebody first picked LeBlanc, you pick Galio. That was the huge one where it's like, no, Galio pick right here. But LeBlanc right now seems to be in an okay spot, I would say. Like, I mean, she does what she's supposed to do, which is a lot of damage.
So as you guys remember in the last podcast, we talked about, all the changes, and LeBlanc had a lot of changes, probably the most changed champion in this current patch. And what it did for her, I don't know. I can't really determine whether it's good or bad. I want to say good, but I don't want to say it yet without really testing it more. But what they did was they made her more of a consistent champion, because now she has more constant damage, and they reward you for being a better player also by landing all your skill shots and such. But they nerfed her burst damage, because before, her old ultimate did more burst damage than her current ultimate, or than her current ultimate, since they gave her ultimate actual numbers instead of just a percentage increase of her current spells.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
Impressive.
Jesus. Professionalism.
Professionalism!
Draven.
Eagle Draven.
Is that our signal to go to the AD carry?
Yes.
I think that was. I think that was the secret,
So, let's just talk about Draven then.
Do you guys want to talk about them as a group, AD carry and support together, or each role individually?
I think individually is better.
Individually is better. Like, I mean, we can talk about, like, AD carry in combination, in, like, the context of, like, oh no, they work well with, like, a Leona or something.
Sure. We'll do that then.
Mm-hmm.
So, best AD carry.
Draven.
I remember when Draven first came out, I told myself, this is going to be my character. And I told myself this because I loved his lines. I loved what he was. But I couldn't play Draven. An asshole, yes. Much like Moose.
Oh, God. But with his passive change, I feel like he's a bit more damagey, I guess you could say, but still...
I feel like they nerfed him. I think it was just a straight nerf.
Okay.
I feel before his old passive just gave him too much damage, so I feel like he needed a nerf, because he was kind of a cheese character, like I was saying before. It's kind of a cheese character to pick, because in lane you just can't trade with Draven. You cannot trade with him. He attacks you twice, and that's the equivalent of you attacking him 3 times. So it was kind of ridiculous. Besides, go ahead.
I don't think anyone can trade efficiently with Draven.
Exactly. And I feel like after his passive change, though, I feel like now trades are much more possible. You still need to be very careful with it, because his damage is still ridiculous in lane. But once again, he has the issue where his team fighting is much weaker than every other AD carry in the game, practically.
Yeah. I mean,
so
I'm not sure. I'm not all that fond of the AD carry role, so I can't really say very much to this.
I feel I would agree with that. My AD carry is not. It's something I have knowledgeable about it, but it's not one of my preferred roles. And right now, the AD carries are in a good spot, pretty much.
Yeah.
I feel I can't really. There's like very few viable AD carries right now that I can think of.
It's very narrow.
Oh yeah, I think Kog'Maw needs a change.
Why is that?
Because I don't see why you're gonna play Kog'Maw with Triss in the format.
That's true. Yeah, she does do a lot of damage.
She's roughly just as good as Kog'Maw is in lane, a little bit worse. But late game, she just brings so much more.
And she has an escape, unlike Kog'Maw.
Exactly.
You got anything to say, Shiro?
No. AD carry is also one of those roles that I hardly play. I also think that they're in a pretty good place. Given that Corki got buffed, like, I mean, he seems to be, like, in a better place now. Maybe closer or at a level where he can compete with other AD carries. But like, I was trying to
I
think
think
of
he's
like,
closer. I don't think he's necessarily at a level yet.
all
I
right,
think I think he still once again has tons of damage like he always has, but they made his laning phase a lot more reliable since you no longer have to worry about your mana as much.
right,
Because before many times you'd be harassing and doing what you can, and his W, which is his Valkyrie, used to
hmm
cost so much mana to be able to get away that it just would never really happen.
right. But I mean the two AD carries that I think about when I see them, I'm like, okay, this is gonna. These are not the strongest AD carries. They could be if the person knows what they're doing and the team comp supports them. Is Ashe and Quinn. Those are the two AD carries that I'm like, I don't know. I have my reservations on them.
I feel Ashe is still very strong, because one, she's one of the few AD carries who can actually hard engage herself, because of her ultimate. Varus is another one that's kind of there, but not really. But the thing about Ashe is she gets to her late game faster than any other champion.
But she needs very few items to turn on her late game anyway.
And it's not even that, it's the fact that her E at level 5, which means once you hit level 13 generally, you're getting an additional 5 gold per minion, which is just an insane amount.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. Plus, you're getting an additional 5, like 4, 3, 2, 1 before that, and it's just it allows her to get so much farm early that it turns on her late game so fast. And especially right now when the meta is so much like CC heavy, it allows her to stay alive. She can kite probably one of the best than any other AD carry in the game. And like I said, she has an ultimate that's just a hard engage essentially.
Okay, but what about Quinn though?
Quinn is not in a good place. I feel Quinn doesn't fulfill the AD carry role. I think what she does is she's kind of one of those unconventional picks that you can take top or mid and be strong. The thing that I've learned about Quinn is she's very strong in solo queue because it's very hard to, as long as you're not coordinated, a solo queue Quinn can just wreck face. But against a coordinated fives team or someone who knows what they're doing, Quinn can't get in and do what she does best. Her ultimate kind of just becomes an escape tool or just a way to get from point A to point B. Where in solo queue, when people are a little more spread out, you can just use that to duel people and such.
Okay.
But overall, I feel like Quinn maybe needs some changes, maybe not a buff or a nerf, but some tweaks to mess around with her numbers, and that might make her a more reliable AD carry.
Okay.
What I find annoying about Quinn is that when she transforms, doesn't she keep all her cooldowns from her original form?
Yes,
I don't I don't understand that choice because every other champ that has a transform resets their cooldowns for certain abilities. Or for all their abilities.
I feel if Quinn got a reset, it'd be too good.
Okay.
Because Quinn is kind of different than every other champion. That does that because what it does is they don't necessarily, when Quinn switches forms, they're not really different moves. They're still the same move. Because if you look at Elise has 4 moves. Other than when she transforms, she has 4 completely different moves that have their own cooldowns. Sometimes if you switch, it's like if you switch from Elise's spider form, uses her repel, switch to human, then switch back to spider. Repel will still generally be on cooldown because it has its own cooldown.
Yeah.
So the thing about like Quinn is her Q. What you're doing is you're throwing Valor and blinding anybody in place. When you switch into Valor, you obviously already used Valor to blind them, so how are you going to use yourself to blind them again? Is the way I look at it. So I don't really see how you use her ability twice because they're still the same exact move.
Okay.
And once again, if she could double Q, if she could like blind you, dash it with Valor and blind you again, I think that would be just too strong. She'd probably be one of the best AD carries in the game because her blind is like AoE, and it'd be insane.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah. Supports, I feel, or
Supports are pretty narrow if we want to talk about like
yeah.
as far as dominance. Like I mean, the big one is Thresh.
I think Thresh is right now the best support in the game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Yeah, he just his kit synergizes a little too much, and yeah, his passive just gives him the ability to do what he wants in lane. Because I mean, typically you're not going to be facing too much magic damage in lane. You're going to be dealing with harass from the support, sure, but they just can't 1v1 you because of the dynamics going on in bot lane.
Exactly.
But aside from Thresh, which is the obvious one, another really strong support, Zyra, she was mentioned. She has a pretty good route. She can scout, and she has excellent disengage with her ultimate.
Yeah, she has definitely a really good disengage. She has a really good. If they initiate on you, she can turn a team fight around by knocking everybody up. She still does a pretty good amount of damage, even while being support, which is something that's really good. And yeah,
Her scaling is just ridiculous.
Yeah, Zyra's definitely right now a pretty strong support. People would say she's a better support than mid. I still like taking her mid. But Sona still, I think Sona's ultimate, as long as she has that ult, she'll always be a great support because that stun can be it's such a good move. You can flash engage with her ultimate and just do so much in team fights. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And that's not even touching upon the poke that she introduces in bot lane too. She has her Q and her passive that's augmented by Q, so she's pretty good.
I think those are definitely, in my opinion, the two best supports right now. Definitely Sona and Thresh.
What about Nami?
Wait. You're putting that above Zyra though? Sona?
Yes.
Really?
Interesting.
And the reason why I'm putting her above Zyra is because Sona's team fighting is, in my opinion, better than Zyra's team fighting. Because in my opinion, being able to control when you fight is better than being able to avoid fights or doing stuff once a fight starts. Because Sona is one of the few supports that actually has the ability to start a fight. If Zyra flash ults, all they're gonna do is run out of her ult or flash out or do whatever they can or jump over her ult to engage on you. When Sona, you can't really do anything about it. You're stuck dancing in place for a few seconds.
Dancing.
Nami is I feel like the top 5 supports, if I had to pick, would probably be like Thresh, Sona, Zyra, Nami. God, who would be the fifth? Fiddlesticks.
Fiddlesticks, huh?
No, I'm kidding. No, I think Fiddlesticks is starting to see a lot of play, and I really like him as a support right now.
I would honestly just limit it to top 3, because like once you get past the 3 we mentioned, which is Thresh, Zyra, and Sona, it starts to get more situational at that point. And I don't consider Nami to be as versatile as the other ones. While she has a lot of pretty good stuff, like she can engage with her Q, she can heal, and she can give a boost to the AD carry. But like a Lulu will be able to outpoke her. She doesn't have like the she's just not as powerful as the other 3 in that like same level, if you get it what I'm saying. And she's as powerful as like say like a Lulu or a Janna in their specific team comps.
I definitely understand what you're saying from, because Nami brings a lot of team pressure as well. Like a lot of she, as you said, she's not as versatile as like Zyra and all that because her poke isn't as strong because she really doesn't have much poke. All she really does have is a way of like a stun, her ultimate, which is a knock up, a way of speeding up your AD carry, and a heal, which is all really great things within its situation. Where Zyra, Thresh, and Sona can all be picked pretty much with any AD carry or any team comp and be super effective. So.
Right. So and don't get me wrong, Nami is a really good champion, but she is not dominant.
Once again, in the support role, it's pretty balanced, but I feel like those 3 champions that we mentioned come up above everybody else and take that dominant spot.
Right.
Especially when they have a Draven.
That's the title of this episode. That will now be the title of this episode.
God. Jeez.
And let's not forget probably the most important lane in. That is not a lane at all. Actually, it's called the jungle.
Jungle. What would you consider it? It's just a role, isn't it? It's not considered a lane.
It's kind of considered a lane in its own way, but it's really it's like your home.
Yeah.
It's your
It's
home.
where you live.
Pitch
But
your
then when
tent
you
up.
come out and visit, you're kind of angry because someone made you leave your home when you were eating some food. You were eating some food, making some money, and then someone made you come out of your home. How upset would that make you? Upset enough to try to kill them? I think so.
Oh my god.
Uh,
Sounds like Nunu to me.
and Nunu is. He's
feel
not
like-
as dominant, but he's still a force.
Yeah. He can't outsmite people anymore, which is good.
Oh, he can't. I feel like Nunu's in a pretty good spot now after the change. Before he
Mhm.
was just able to do so much so fast, and I feel in the next patch, they're definitely doing something which will make Nunu once again I think a non-factor, because right now what they did is they made it so each big creep gives 310 experience and each small creeps gives 10. And what they're doing is they're nerfing it back to the big creep giving 260 and each small creep giving 40. So that'll definitely make it make
Oh,
it a
they're
lot
reverting
better.
that change?
Yeah, they're bringing that back, and they're making all minions spawn at 250, 210, except for of course blue buff and red buff. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a big change to the jungle once again.
Yeah. I mean, right now, you still have to play around the Nunu, which
Of
is like.
course.
Which is the reason why I still consider him a dominant force in the jungle, because, I mean, he still does his job pretty darn well.
I'm pretty sure you've all seen that video where the Nunu takes all 4 buffs and then forces the other character to just take everything and not even and gain like 1 level off of killing every minion in the jungle. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It is ridiculous. So yeah, I'm very glad that they're making the smaller minions, the smaller lizard minions in the buff camp give 40 experience once again, because that'll definitely make counter jungling a little bit weaker. Which right now taking someone's blue at early levels is just so huge.
It's backbreaking.
It's basically gonna make you like not a presence in this game.
And it might make like AoE champions a little bit more viable again.
Yeah, I can
'Cause
see that definitely.
Like spreading the experience and a little bit of the health is pretty important for those kind of champs.
So I think Zac is a pretty big force in the jungle right now.
He's still
Agreed.
strong.
He is so strong. He brings such a strong gank because he can gank from almost anywhere. There's so many places he can gank from that it's so hard to ward against him. It's not fair. His clear is pretty strong. He has a slow knock up, 2 knockups, so
He can gank from almost anywhere.
almost anywhere exactly. There's nowhere you can. It's so hard to ward against him. That's I think probably the biggest thing about him. I feel Nasus is still a strong pick.
Yeah, definitely. What about Nautilus? He hasn't been seeing all that much play yet.
Nautilus hasn't been seeing any play, and it makes me very sad because I am a huge fan of Nautilus.
Hmm. What about J4?
J4 still been seeing a lot of play. J4 still super
Yeah,
strong.
he's the Renekton of the jungle. You must be at least J4 level to be around here. So
Yeah, I think probably the most dominating jungles right now are probably Nasus still, Zac. I almost want to say, go ahead.
Udyr has been seeing a lot more play. Maybe that's because of the new skin that came out, but he's still been a pretty solid jungler as well.
Yeah.
He can be counterpicked with some CC, but like I mean, who's like it's very hard to like make the argument that well no CC doesn't affect this champion. Like again, you'd have to be Zac level.
Yeah. So now, Mike, I have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
PF might not be able to get this one. We'll have to see.
Oh God.
He's probably the most dominating jungler in Season 2. I think he had the highest win percentage, and you no longer see him at all nowadays.
I know
Skarner?
this answer.
Yes. What'd you say?
Skarner?
Yeah, I think the answer is Garner. That,
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's
he
what I was
just-
gonna say.
he was ridiculously strong in season 2, and just he sees no love. Like I haven't seen a Skarner pick in the longest of time, and in my opinion, Skarner's still a stronger pick than Warwick. So when people picking Warwick right now, it makes me think people just forgot about Skarner or
Or
something because
or they're like me and that's just a panic pick.
yes, and I just Skarner's one of those champs that I feel like should be getting a little more love. I think Hecarim is still pretty strong in the jungle. Maybe not in like a competitive 5 level,
But he
or
can
maybe
still play in
he
solo
can
queue.
still do so cute, so well.
Another
Elise, go ahead, Jimmy.
another solid champion is Lee Sin.
Elise,
Yes.
Elise. I feel the jungle. There's once again a lot of variety,
I mean,
but
almost anyone can jungle, really.
yeah, I don't think it's for everybody, but I feel like there's a lot of champions that can be in there.
So I guess a philosophical question would be like, do you think it should be for everybody? Should it be designed that way?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I feel like junglers really should be getting their own. When
Class.
people make, because when, as you can see, if of course when they make an AD carry, they make an AD carry.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
When they make a mid, they make a mid. But right now they kind of just make a top, but then it's like, oh, he's actually better in the jungle. Let's play him there. So I feel like if the jungle was more was different, was maybe harder to do or something. I'm not exactly sure.
Focused on.
Yeah, if they focus on, if they change the jungle around, which they have a lot of talk about doing, because they feel like the jungle right now isn't in a very good place. They can just focus on making champions junglers.
Yeah.
Because like champions like Gutierrez was never meant to be a jungler at first. At first he was meant to be like a top laner because his lane presence was so insane with turtle stance back then. But then
Yeah.
you would just get an innervating locket and it was just we shouldn't talk about that item. That item's too broken here.
I don't even remember what it did. What did it do?
Every time you activated a spell, it gave you like 40 HP and 40 mana back in like 3 seconds or 2 seconds. So basically, he's just constantly hitting. He got more mana back than it costs to cast the spells. It was broken on him. He's the reason why they had to remove that item.
Also, Gragas.
Yeah. Also, I forgot this. It gave you 40 health and 40 mana. It gave your teammates 20.
Oh, so broken.
Yeah, there's been some pretty ridiculous things in this game that I'm kind of glad they've gotten rid of. But God, I was saying something. Oh, Warwick was probably one of the few champions that was actually made to be in the jungle. I think.
Warwick?
I think when they made Warwick even back in beta, they thought he might be good places, but like he can kill jungle because people when you jungled Warwick in beta, when you jungled in beta, you pretty much jungle Warwick.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't many other champions that were because the jungle before was so much harder than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Like season 1 jungle was insane.
I think Nunu was one of the other champions that was able to do it.
Very true, very true. Nunu was also really strong.
Another jungle that is kind of strong, but has been kind of not existent in the meta is a Mumu. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel
He's
he's
still-
a very good. Oh, go ahead.
He's still seen in Silver League. He's still seen abundantly in Silver League. He's actually a pretty common ban in Silver League. He's definitely a good, like a powerful force in solo queue where people are unorganized and people are just afraid of AoE. What is it? A stun? A snare? I don't even know what a Mumu's ulti is anymore. So it's a snare, and like, he does damage. That's the other thing a Mumu does. Like, I mean, he is a threat. So
It's not just it's a snare that prevents you from auto attacking.
So it might as well be a stun.
It might as well. It's the most ridiculous like move in the game because it's the only move that actually states something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, Elise is so good top, but she might even be better in the jungle, honestly, because she does so much damage regardless of items. And if you build her tanky, she has such a good engage. She has such a good way of just doing so much without items that I feel like she's still really strong. So.
And her clear time is really good too.
Yes, it's insane. And she has enough sustain to just not even worry about things.
Yeah. So many champs that are non-existent in his meta.
Oh, my
Pantheon.
apologies. Amumu's ultimate, yeah, prevents you from auto attacking. So you can still cast spells, but you can't auto attack. Every other snare in the game allows you to auto attack still and cast spells.
Hmm.
So Mumu snare pretty and he just has that damage. Sorry to jump back to him, but
That's fine.
yes. I feel like there's a lot of champions that need more recognition and should be played a little more. I feel too many people watch LCS and think that's the only way to play this game.
I mean, the pros. That's how a lot of
I
games
agree,
go.
and I agree. They are the pros. But at the same time, you got to remember that even like there's champions that even the pros want to play, and they don't do it for the fact that sometimes even if one of their teammates don't think it's a good idea, they generally don't do it.
Hmm.
So
And I think that's kind of the flip side of that argument too. It's like, okay, they play these champions because they're pros. Because they're pros, the tactics that work against regular people wouldn't work on them. So that's exactly why Amumu works. It's like, well, Amumu works on regular teams, but pros, not so much. It could still be effective on your league. So
same reason why you can play something like Nautilus support and it'll work, or Volibear support and it'll work. Play that against probably a pro team or a pro bottom lane, not gonna go so well.
I remember us doing that, Biz. That was so much fun.
Did I play Volibear?
You played Volibear
like
support.
I do. Yeah, that sounds like something I do.
We were just like flipping people.
Yeah. Yo. Best flips NA, me and Jimmy right here.
oh my god.
We used to play Volibear Singed in threes. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was great. Not the most efficient team, but like it was a lot of fun.
I don't know. Volibear does quite a bit of damage. I feel like he's pretty good in the threes. Something that made me think of is back in the day when you could Blitzcrank pull Dragon. That was good times.
God.
You could Blitzcrank pull Dragon, Singe flip Dragon, basically move him around however you wanted, and you could bring him all the way back to your spawn and have him get killed by your spawn laser.
He was so good. So funny.
Yes. I definitely want to talk about something else. What champions do you feel need the biggest change right now in the game?
Karma.
Karma.
She is, in my opinion, in a much worse position than she was when she was in her old position. Because now, like, from what I hear, she's somewhat of an okay top. But is that what they were really going for with Karma? No. Are you going to play Karma top? No. So I feel like she needs changes.
Aren't they buffing her in the next patch?
They redacted some of those buffs because they said, well, we kind of like where she is on top. And I'm like, no.
She's more meant to be a support, isn't she?
She was designed that way, but that's not the case. That's not how you play Karma, ironically enough.
A champ that I want to see like a little bit more change is Nidalee because I love playing her as a top laner, but it's just that she's so weak, in my opinion, as a champion.
I feel like maybe she's not necessarily weak, but she needs some changes, I think, because there's so many other big champions right now that do so much.
Okay.
My personal change is, of course, I want to see the Dinger changed. I'm a Dinger.
They're doing that. They're
I
actually.
know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. His new cannons have a freaking cannon on the cannon.
What?
His new cannons, like what they do is they basically still have their standard shot that they have, but every like 2 seconds or something, it'll lock onto. It prioritizes champions, but it'll lock onto you. And then it's a skill shot towards you with like a blue like Mega Man looking laser. And the moment they shoot the laser, you can dodge it, but it's still like that's still something they have to be taken into account for.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty awesome.
I mean, that seems pretty good.
I think it's gonna be awesome. They also changed his grenades and rockets around a little bit. But besides that, what else is like? Another thing that I wanted to talk about was what you guys currently think about the meta. Like, what do you guys want to see changed?
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Maybe we'll save this one for another day.
Yeah, that is such a
That's a big one.
huge
That's such a big
topic.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That's a pretty big thing to
But
talk
I
about.
want to kind of get your opinions on the current strats that a lot of pro teams are picking up on, which is like switching a bunch of lanes, like move the top lane to bot lane and then put
Put
the dual
middle
lane,
top.
yeah,
Put
or
the
put
dual
dual
lane in
lane
mid.
top or something like that.
Yeah, basically at this point, the way I'm looking at it is you're basically playing AD carry support, AP carry, and a bruiser, right? And you can go into any lane. That's the way it really works now. And so you'll have the bruiser going mid every now and then. You'll have your mid going top, and you'll have your top going bottom. Like you can go anywhere and still be effective.
Okay.
So I think a lot of teams are doing this for the fact that they're trying to keep dragon control. So you generally when you put your AD carry in a different lane, you're trying to rush a tower and take it, and then move them again.
Okay.
But that's what do you think, Jimmy?
What do I think about what?
Oh ho 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 ho. About all the lane changes between like AD carry supports being anywhere.
Okay,
Basically.
because I mean, there was like three subjects in there. There was like the lane changes. There was the fact that like you really do need like even though there's lane changes that there was a format you follow. There's an AD carry, there's a support, and then there's a mid. There's an AP
There's an
carry.
AP
and stuff
carry,
like that.
yeah.
So like addressing the lane switches, I'm pretty okay with that. Like that makes the game a little bit more dynamic. It makes it's a strategy. It's like okay, well we'll change around with the lanes, and we will try to counter the other team by switching. The other topic, which was there needing to be like an AD carry, an AP carry, a support, and all that good stuff. I actually don't like that part. I think that as a meta, it's kind of stale. We've been following that meta since Season 2. The only drastic changes that have happened is the super sustainability of top, and like the super like making top basically like super safe as like far as like range and stuff, and like the versatility of like a character's kit. And the jungle kind of changed a bit to changing from like a support jungler from like Maokai, a Skarner, and that kind of stuff to more ganking style junglers that we're seeing in Season 3. So, but those are relatively minor changes compared to like what happened between beta and Season 1, where it's like, no, we have a kill lane bot with no AD carry. It was just two dudes that duked it out and tried to just end bot. And then,
those kill lanes.
and then you just have weird things like the AD carry going mid, and top was generally a duo lane because sometimes it's like, well, the jungle was just that risky sometimes. So, you know, a little bit of a change in like just the way that the lane, like what you brought in as a team in each lane. I think that some like a change would be, it would be something that I'd be looking forward to.
I think Season 2 to Season 3 had the least amount of change from any kind of like season type deal for League of Legends. I think it was very minor, all the changes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if we want the game to evolve, you know, the game needs to evolve with it. So, well, maybe strats and such, you know.
Yeah.
I think the change of the jungle would probably be the best thing and the biggest thing they can do right now. Because I don't think the jungle on top are in the best place right now.
But I don't know if that's a function that has to. I mean, that's just so complicated because it's not just the champions, but you also have items that kind of did that, and that's just another completely huge topic.
Yeah.
So.
We'll bring these topics back.
We'll
one
bring
day.
them back someday.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing to talk about. So we're looking about. I think we're kind of starting to ramble on a little too much at this point.
Yeah.
I blame Leon over there for all
Hey.
of it.
I just want your opinions.
Draven!
Draven!
That's my opinion. Welcome to the League of Draven. But I think with that, we shall call it a night, a day, a cast, a league talk.
Draven.
A Draven. We'll call it a Draven. So we'll call it out. We'll let everybody pimp out their little sites and such, and then we'll we'll end it from there. So go ahead. We'll start with you, Leon.
You guys can check me out on twitch.tv/Leon760. I stream sometimes, but I need to start picking that up a little bit.
Yeah, I also stream on Twitch. You can find me under username C2C-Shiro.
Dash or
I might
underscore?
underscore. You're right, Moose.
Oh, I
you
got
are right.
you. I
You got me. I sometimes stream League. I'm winding down a little bit on that. I stream some other games. Check it out if you're interested.
Definitely recommend. He has some of the best commentating on on the games he plays. Definitely one of the most fun. I definitely have a lot of fun just hearing him speak. So definitely check him out. And once again, you got myself, Hero94 or Moose. You can check me out at Twitch/Moose94. Of course, it's twitch.tv/Moose94. Mostly streaming League, sometimes a few different games from time to time. But then youtube.com/Hero94, posting a lot of my League games there. And I'm going to start doing some Let's Plays as well. So make sure you check that out for some almost daily content I've been posting up. So with that, you got the end of episode 1 of League Talk. And you guys all have a great day. Make sure you follow and subscribe.
He got it this time!